Good morning. Good morning. It is, I was going to say gorgeous, but it's like Africa hot outside. It is July 3rd, the day before Independence Day here in the city of Orlando. And guys, I don't normally get this excited, but I've been trying to get Chief in the car for a long time. Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith. Sir, thank you for joining me today.
It's my honor.
I really appreciate this. You are a busy man. The city is constantly go, 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 but you're everywhere all the time. What motivates you to be out all the time? Because I get to mingle with 4 stars. Everyone has their own thing, but you know, you're embedded. And as we see you on the bikes, we see you in downtown. You've been doing this for a long time. What's the motivation there?
I think it's my love of the community and my love of the department. I mean, I got my start as a patrol officer in Paramore. It was so amazing to meet the people there and to be able to protect them. And, you know, I was very heavy in, you know, doing drug enforcement, things like that. And then for the officers themselves, to be with the officers that I just adore and love working with, and to keep working with them and at so many different levels, it just makes my heart happy and full to be out there and just working with everybody.
And like you said, it's still fun.
Yeah. Get
out there and actually do the job, even though you're the boss, right?
30 years, it's still exciting. I mean, I work one night a week till 2 or 3 in the morning with my officers.
And that's consistent,
That's
right?
consistent, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And the best thing about that is just being out there with the officers, going to calls with them. I mean, a shooting goes out, a robbery goes out, just to still turn the lights and go there and, you know, try and get involved and make a difference in our community is huge for me. But the biggest thing for me after these calls, even from a traffic stop or something like that, is just to talk to my officers. You learn so much about your department by talking to your officers and seeing what's going on with them. And the first time you do it, they're a little apprehensive. But
right,
when they see you all the time,
did it take them a second to get used to you rolling up and being like, I'm here to help?
Yeah, it took a second. You'd see officers stop their traffic stop, like, oh, you can go. I'm done with that. And they'd be like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I was done. I didn't really have much to do. But once it got consistent with me,
right,
stopping at all sorts
of
calls.
They're like, oh, Chief's my backup kind of thing.
The backup, you know, going to foot pursuits and helping these guys out with every part of their job. You know, it's just a normal sight for them to see.
So when did you join the Orlando Police Department?
So I joined in '94. I was at UCF. I was hired right out of UCF. I pretty much graduated in August, and I was in the academy by October 1.
Wow.
So it was a very quick transition for me.
Who's the chief at the time?
So the chief was, at the time,
I'm trying to, it wasn't McKinney.
Holbert was the chief.
Okay.
He hired me. So I was interning with HSI.
Okay.
Which was Customs back in that day. They took me to meet the chief and the sheriff, and which was great. I applied to both. I told myself, being a struggling college student, I'll take the first job I get. And OPD called on like a Tuesday, and Orange County called on a Thursday.
That's
so
awesome.
So I took the first job that came. They put me right in the academy, and it's been a great career.
Pretty cool. So the city of Orlando, it has grown. You've now 30 years, and it's grown tremendously. Did you ever imagine that the city would be what it is today? Even with, obviously, the theme parks were here, but you look at the growth of the population and the visitors, and even the police department. It's massive now.
No, I never. When I first started, I think we were 500 officers. We're slated for almost 1,000 officers now. To see that growth is huge. And then growth in development, the growth in community. I mean, you saw we annexed a lot of different areas. We're growing down by the 417 into the Sunbridge area. That adds a lot more patrol officers to us, a lot more area that needs to be covered. So to watch it grow and watch all the development, the Lake Nona area is huge. You know, it's still growing out west towards I-Drive. So to see the growth is amazing. And it's just like, yeah, we have theme parks, but it's not all there is to Orlando, which is
so much
great
more
to see. Oh, exactly.
So what separates really, because I look at the city of Orlando's police department as a premier law enforcement agency. Full service. It's a place where people want to either transfer to and become a law enforcement officer to, or simply start their career. If, as the chief, or just as somebody who's dedicated their life to the city of Orlando, what separates OPD from all these other agencies?
I think because of OPD, we are very proactive in fighting crime. I mean, we don't hesitate. If there's somebody out there tearing our community down, we take steps to stop it. My whole thing that I live by is no matter where you live in our community, you should feel safe to sit out in front of your porch, no matter what time of day it is.
Right.
I don't care if you're in Lake Nona, I don't care if you're in Pine Hills, I don't care if you're in Paramore. I'm not doing my job if you can't sit on your step without being scared of a drive-by or some major crime happening to you. It's my job to keep you safe. And that's why it's still in my officers, and that's why we're so proactive. We added so many proactive units, our tactical patrol units.
That was pretty awesome. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was so excited when you came over, when you were promoted and took over, that you brought TAC back and fully staffed it.
Yep.
And they're everywhere, and the data and the stats show they're out there working.
It definitely shows that our shootings with a victim are down 32%, our homicides are down 24%. They're truly making a difference, but I credit more than them. Changing our drug unit around to where they're proactive, looking for violent criminals, versus a guy, selling 6 pounds of marijuana to somebody who's not really doing crime. I really go for the guy who's selling 2 bags of marijuana, but he'll shoot somebody for his territory.
Right.
That's the guy I want to target and get him out of our community. But I also credit our patrol officers. They do an amazing job. I credit our school resource officers, the neighborhood patrol, because they're changing the minds of our youth.
Right.
To change their direction.
People think I'm crazy because as a trooper, I'm obsessed with school safety. And they're like, why do you have anything? I go, well, it starts there.
Yep.
Because at some point you may run into that kid again and they're going to be like, I remember that cop.
Exactly.
Or the relationship was completely different. I see so much that's happening, and I think the community as a whole. When you said you should feel safe anywhere, I like hearing that because it drives me nuts when people are like, oh, I live out in Pine Hills, or I live in Paramount. Well, that doesn't have to have a reputation with it. Like you said, you should be able to walk out at any given time and enjoy your community. I think that's pretty cool that you guys have that going on. Over the past few years, I've seen some changing in technology you guys have brought on to the agency. The equipment looks great. The cars, pretty much brand new all over the place. Is this things that you guys are looking at, always looking at new innovative technology in policing, or are you guys pretty happy with what you guys currently have?
We're always out there looking at new and innovative technology. We have actually technology equipment. We send out there to different companies, to different conferences, to see what's out there that we're missing, to see if there's anything we can improve on. Our crime center is huge. As you can imagine, in the old days, you get a robbery at a business and a witness would say, oh, a purple car left here.
Okay. Right, and you're like, thanks.
Yeah, that helps. And our success rate was probably like 20%.
Right.
That you would just come across the car if it was distinct. Now, with the cameras, you can play back at our crime center and be like, oh, where did this happen? This is the address. Okay, the camera right next to it. I pick up the car leaving at a high rate of speed. Here's the car. I hit a tag.
It just happened to be purple.
Yep. Just happened to be purple. And we're right there, and we can vector in units, with the assistance of Orange County, with Chase, the helicopter. We get all these things going to get a stop. And our success rate has skyrocketed in capturing bad guys.
Tell me a little bit about this crime center that you're talking about.
So the crime center, we're integrated into all sorts of cameras throughout the city. Thousands of cameras from downtown to the farthest extensions of our city.
Okay.
And the crime center, we have officers staffed in there 24 hours a day, and they're watching cameras. But here's the thing: you can put 100 officers in there, and they're not going to be able to watch every camera.
Okay.
So the big thing for this is they can play the cameras back. So when you call
they're
in,
constantly rolling,
constantly rolling and recording. So when they say, hey, there's a burglary at this address, and it's 99% chance you're not watching that address.
Right.
They can play it back. They can pull it up, play it back. Hey, we can see these people going in. We can see from the camera at the corner where they're going. We can see them jumping into a car. We can see which way they're going. And this helps us to capture people.
Wow. And is this similar? Because I'm familiar with maybe one or two other crime centers, but they all have pretty much the same premise where you guys are on social media. You're checking social media things. You have access to contacts over at other departments and the schools and stuff. So this is almost like a brain.
It's almost like a brain. We actually have analysts in there 24 hours a day who are doing the background. Oh, this place has been burglarized before. Let me pull up this report. Okay, what was the case this way? Oh, the same person burglarized before is burglarizing it again.
Wow.
Is it a past employee? What's the deal with this thing? Let's pull up the report. And that analyst is pulling up the report, seeing everything and knowing all the information, even trying to make contact with the owner. So it frees up the officers, as you know, from having to be like, let me call the owner and get an owner responding. They're doing those kind of things. They're freeing up communications to run the channel and not worry about those little things. So the analyst is picking up on all those kind of things and helping us out.
I'm sure the officers really appreciate that too, because it's saving them time. It's almost doing 20 things at one time. By the time they've asked for something, they're arriving on scene. That analyst could have a pretty large amount of information for them.
Exactly. The officer can spend his time setting up a cordon, vectoring units, making sure that the area is secure, doing the searches, and not have to worry about, well, do I have a responder on the way? What is going on with all these other things? Who is this person probably? And the analyst is great at one thing. Well, this person was armed last time, so let me give those officers that information right now.
That's
to
huge.
Make it safer for officers.
Then, hey, they're showing up a little bit more tactical. Hey, this guy might be violent. Who knows, kind of thing. Over the years, we've always had some major events. News 6, when I joined in 2017, I tell you, it was crazy because I got hired, and 2 months later, I'm lighting the Christmas tree in downtown Orlando. And everyone's like, who the heck is this trooper guy lighting this Christmas tree up? But we host such great events here, and they're always huge. They're always mass amounts of people, always looking to have a good time. News 6, we always do fireworks at the fountain, which is tomorrow, 4th of July. And previously, we did have an issue at one of those events because some people like to act a fool and cause problems. Here on Trooper Steve on Patrol, we refer to fools as clowns. So I have a clown meter sometimes on my streams on how many clowns that we find out on the streets. But we're hoping that we don't have to deal with any clowns tomorrow. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys are doing. And I know there are certain things within the law enforcement world, and I even go on live TV and I say this. I go, look, there are things that some of you will never know that are in place, and you don't need to know there to make sure that you're safe. But for tomorrow, for downtown Orlando, Lake Eola, just in general for the 4th of July, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a hot day. What can, as the chief of police, you guys get to your community to tell them, look, this is how to set yourself up for success if you're coming out to Lake Eola tomorrow?
So I say the best way to set yourself up for success is, of course, find a nice, safe place to park, but also hydrate. I mean, I want my officers out there. I've got a lot of officers out there. I want my officers able to deal with anything that's a possible threat to our community, anything that'll make the event unsafe. So them, seeing you, struggling or passing out or something like that, having to deal with that pulls them away from the other mission, having to get fired to come to you and all those kind of things. It's going to be very, very hot. Take care of yourself. But my job is to keep you safe. There'll be officers you see, officers you don't see, officers in patrol cars, officers manning checkpoints, officers on bicycles, SWAT officers out there, and then a lot of officers you won't see. Right. And of course, our camera technology in that area is huge, so we can see what's going on. I mean, I'll be out there. So it's an event that we take that is very important to us, and keeping everybody safe is a huge thing, and we'll do our best to make sure everybody has a great time.
I get so upset with some people because they're like, man, I only see him here, I see him there. I go, if you've walked around the lake at any given point and you did not see a police officer, they saw you.
Yeah.
You may have walked by somebody that you thought was just a normal Joe out there. That was possibly an Orlando police officer. So I tell to people, at the end of the day, people are ruining it for people. It's not the lack of security. It's someone who is intentfully coming out to act a fool kind of thing. And if there's somebody out there that may be watching, what can someone expect if they're going to come out and cause a problem tomorrow?
Get arrested without question. We're not going to put up with anything to disrupt the event, anything which will make it unsafe. Anybody, like the last time, playing around, joking around, screaming gun or something like that, so everybody runs, that's not going to be tolerated. It's our job to keep people safe. And you think about all the people who could get hurt just by a little thing. By you running through the crowd, everybody gets scared and they start running and people get trampled. What does that prove? What does that accomplish? There's nothing, and there's no reason to do it. If there's, of course, a real threat, we're going to be on top of it. Definitely do what you have to do to keep yourself safe. But just people playing around is not going to be tolerated.
Fireworks for tomorrow. Obviously, you guys are putting out zero tolerance for any personal fireworks. Could someone be cited for bringing out fireworks to Lake Eola tomorrow, or were you guys basically going to be like, look, knock it off and get out of here?
We always start with warnings, because a lot of people don't know. They're like, oh, my kid can't have these sparklers or something like that, or shoot off fireworks in this area at Lake Eola. No, you can do that stuff at home, following the proper rules and all that kind of stuff, and making sure you're safe. But out there, it's just way too many people. There's thousands upon thousands of people.
It's
just
crazy.
To be out there doing that kind of stuff, it just can't happen. But we always try and warn people, because a lot of people just don't know. I mean, a lot of people come from all over.
That's true.
And don't really understand the rules and the laws as far as that goes. So we always try to explain it to them. Sometimes alcohol becomes a problem. Trying to talk to somebody who's been drinking too much is a little bit hard, but we always try and work with people.
You said something. You have people that are visiting from all over the world that come right here to Orlando. What is that like? Because you have an amazingly diverse department, from Portuguese speakers to Creole to everything. How does that influence y'all's policing here within the city, especially at events? Because sometimes you're just dealing with the community, but there's always that visitor that's present. How does that change how you guys do things?
It changes a lot of what we do. I mean, if you listen to our radio all the time, you're going to hear somebody, can I get a Vietnamese speaker, can I get a Russian speaker? You're not always going to have that person working, even with almost 1,000 cops. So we have what's called a language line, which goes to our comm center, and we just call in, put the person on the phone or the radio with the person from the language line who speaks. They have all the language that we need, and we can communicate with somebody, because we're not going to have every language, every dialect. I mean,
all of a sudden
so
you get
many.
somebody from Madagascar or something, and
Yeah.
I'm not talking smack from anyone from Madagascar, but I just don't know the language there, and I'm sure it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to give me a second.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to call a phone number for this one. Tomorrow, obviously, the hours, main event, they're saying around 3-4 o'clock is main kickoff. When will we start to see the effects of the event start taking place? Some of the closures and road closures and pedestrian kind of areas, and you guys is posted up.
Usually about noontime, we
Okay.
post up. We have our briefings around then. We start shutting down roads, and then you'll see it progressively get the stops get, or the road closures get harder and harder as we go.
Okay.
And more and more secure as we move towards the hours as more and more people come. And that time always is possible to change. If a huge crowd comes out early, we've got to protect the streets and protect the
Right.
areas. We've got our barriers that we put up, and it's just keeping everybody safe is our whole function.
So flexibility is the key for tomorrow.
Yep, most
Hydrate, proactively take care of yourself.
Yep.
You guys are putting out no sticking anything into the ground for
Exactly.
tomorrow. So
Yep.
you can bring your umbrella. You just can't put it in the ground.
Yes.
You guys are encouraging, bring your own chairs. Come on, bring the chairs out. Find that place, like you said. Find a safe place where you want to hang out.
Yeah, under a tree, somewhere with a little bit of airflow.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a hot one.
You are allowed to bring a cooler. No outside alcohol, though, is
Yeah.
allowed to be brought in.
Very true.
Meaning, I like how I read that. That just means you'll be able to purchase your alcohol at the lake over there within the city. And throughout there, if someone, a visitor, has an emergency, needs to contact the Orlando Police Department while they're at Lake Eola, other than approaching a law enforcement officer, simply call 911?
911 is the best way to always do it. Say exactly where you're at, what side of the park is good to know, because it makes it easier for the bike officers and the patrol officers to find you, instead of like, well, I'm at Lake Eola, well, what are you near? And having to go through all that. So it's good to just, when you sit down, know what you're near. Are you near the band shell? Are you on the other side of the lake by the kids park? Where you're at. So when you give the officer, something happens, you give them that quick reference where we can get there as quickly as possible to help you.
No, I like that, because sometimes I learned that in FTO, and I know you've been doing this long time. And every new cop, their FTO, their field training officer, they've done this. It's like they pull over the car and they go, "Where are you right now?" And it's like, kind of thing. And I'll never forget my FTO. He works for Lynx actually right now, and he's like, "Get out." And I was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Get out and go find a street sign." Now, we're not going to be that rude, I promise. But it's the key to always knowing kind of where you're at, and don't be so complacent about, "Oh yeah, I'm just at the lake." Okay, well, there's going to be bike cops there trying to find you, kind of thing. Or drop a pin where your car's at. That's what I kind of encourage people
I
to do.
100% agree. I mean, I still have that in my head when I'm driving at night. I'm looking at every street sign I pass. I'm looking at, okay, I know where I am, just because you never know, driving an unmarked car by yourself, something can happen right in front of you. Somebody starts shooting, you're like, okay, where I'm at, I don't know. You don't want to be that guy on the radio. I have no idea where I'm at.
I'm getting shot at, but I'm on the street.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. I need to get to where you're at.
And you'll never live that down.
No.
Yeah, it's just like, okay.
For a long, long time. There are things I have done throughout my career that I still get heckled to this day by some of...
You mean
some,
being Trooper Steve is not enough to make it
No,
happen?
it's not. So I used to ride with a lot of your motor guys.
Yep.
Great guys. I know Lieutenant Dillon.
Yep.
Great guy. And used to ride with him all the time. And we were on a FAMU escort.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrecked my motorcycle on I-4 at Conroy. The problem was, I didn't completely wreck it. I just ended up flipping it into a pond of water. So all your guys are flying by me as I'm walking out of the water. So I show up I end up getting the bike out of the water. It started up. Some deputy pulled over with a bunch of inmates, helped me pull the bike out. And I show up at the FAMU game, and your guys are sitting there with scuba gear for me. They stopped at Walmart. They got me a snorkel, and they were like, "Well, if Trooper Steve doesn't work, Scuba Steve will," kind of thing. So you're right. Like, the cops, you got a good relationship, police world. And I tell you, Chief, it's been amazing doing this and just working with you guys. Your PIO team, always available for me. A lot of my staff and some of my reporters like, "How'd you get a live interview with Chief Smith?" And I was like, "Well, first you got to ask,
Yep.
and two, I have 2 certifications. I'm a news anchor and I'm a cop. So it helps out a little bit. So
Most definitely.
I want to seriously thank you jumping in the truck with me. Just general conversation, getting to know you a little bit, and of course letting people know OPD means business, but at the end of the day, they're here for the entire community.
No, I 100% agree. It's been an honor, and I'm just honored to be here.
Last question I'll give to you. What's the future for OPD? What's like the next biggest thing that the community would end up seeing in the next couple of years that you think would be pretty cool?
So they're actually going to see it pretty quickly, and we've been working it a little bit. So we're going with a homeless unit, a homeless intervention unit. And what that unit does is we're out there and just basically supporting the homeless. It's a 10-man team. It'll start in the next month or so. We've been doing it with an off-duty unit right now just to see how it works. And we stop probably 600 or 700 people a week with this unit, and it's not about making arrests. We may arrest 10 people, but as you know, you can't arrest your way out of homeless.
Right.
So we give people resources. Most of the people we talk to, we give them resources. United Against Poverty, Coalition, Christian Services, Salvation Army. So we give them those reach out things. And I saw you did a great story with on United Against Poverty with the roof issues by Treasure. So I mean, it's just giving the people the resources to make their life better. So it's a little bit different than what the police department usually does. But we're out there, handling people and just trying to give a hand up and help them a little bit, which is a great thing. Now, we do make some arrests because there are those you come across, they're sitting there doing drugs or will not leave someone's private property. We do those. So, but when you stop 700 people in a week and you may arrest 10, that's not bad at all.
That's good stats because at least you're out there helping. I like the idea that if you're, in my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like, look, we're out there anyway. Let's create something to continue to help the people. And I've never heard of a homeless kind of squad to go out there and make it's proactive contact, really.
Yeah,
you guys are just approaching people.
Proactive contact, and a lot of it's data driven. Like we have companies that complain like, hey, every time we come to work in the morning, there's 20 homeless people here, and they're just sort of taking over our business. And we're like, so we'll get there before the business opens and be like, hey guys, you got to move along.
Okay.
Here's some places you can go and where you can sleep at night and be a little bit safer.
Wow.
So it's those kind of things we're doing because I mean, we have to all do our part. And a police officer is a lot different than a civilian approaching you. A lot of civilians, a lot of the other groups approach people, and they're like, oh man, go away.
Go away.
But a police officer is like, no, you're going to leave. You're going to leave these people's private property and move along.
And we have resources. If you want to,
and we're giving them all resources. If you want the help, these are all the places you can go, all the places that can help you, and we're handing out those pamphlets and giving them the numbers and the contact, and even say, hey, it's right up the street, just move over there. Right. It's that easy.
If you didn't know, you can go get a hot meal right there, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Chief, you guys are doing great things. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you not only do for the city, but I'm speaking for guys that I know for what you do for your agency. They really appreciate it, and maybe I'm gonna have to take you up because I know I've asked you before, but I'm gonna have to maybe use some of my reserve time and come hang out with you guys.
Anytime, come ride.
I keep my tag vest right back there. So, but guys, if you are headed out to 4th of July tomorrow, please be safe. Understand that the Orlando Police Department's #1 priority is your safety, meaning you got to take care of yourself before you get out there. If you need them, make sure you know where you're at. Follow them on all their social media platforms. They have X, Facebook, Instagram, all of it, and they're always putting out like bulletins, information. There's a pretty cool video with Chief out riding around on patrol, which is pretty cool too. So give them a follow. We will be out there all day tomorrow. Chief will be out there. Make sure you stop by and say hi to him. And of course, be respectful to everybody out there. Let's have a good time. Stay hydrated. Have a good day. We'll see you guys later.